These are the most disturbing crimes in the Bluey community, and as the video progresses, the cases will just keep getting worse. Bluey is an Australian animated show created by Ludo Studio targeted for preschoolers, which became a huge hit for both its target audience and the internet overall. The show was praised for its portrayal of a positive family life and lessons targeted not only for kids but for parents as well. The show followed the adventures of Bluey Healer, her parents Bandit and Chili, and her younger sister Bingo. It premiered on the Australian channel ABC Kids on October 1st, 2018, and was picked up by Disney almost a year later in September 2019. Since then, Bluey became one of the most watched shows in both ABC Kids and Disney Plus, while winning numerous awards in the children's program and animated categories between 2019 and 2025. But despite Bluey's massive and quick success, the series' lead art director, Catriona Drummond, left the show after finishing season 1, and this was because working on Bluey had put her body at risk. But before I tell you why, I want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, FreeCash. The name sounds a bit weird because everybody knows nothing is ever really free, so let me break down how FreeCash actually makes money and how you get paid. And the best part, if you sign up through my link, you'll get a $10 bonus on your first offer. Every year, brands spend billions of dollars on ads you just skip anyway, trying to get you to try things you already want, games, streaming services, and everything in between. But what if you could earn real money by testing out cool new stuff? Like, I'm already playing games on my phone, why not get rewarded for it? That's where FreeCash comes in. Instead of wasting millions on ads that'll just interrupt your scrolling, brands partner with FreeCash to offer you a chance to get a quick buck by testing some new games, apps, online shopping sites, or even completing surveys. And other users agree because FreeCash currently has over 300,000 reviews and a 4.6-star rating on Trustpilot. Full disclosure, this app is not going to make you $1 million or replace your actual job. It's just a way of giving some extra cash for things you already do every day. So, how does it work? Here, let me show you. Simply download FreeCash from the Play Store or the App Store, sign up with your email or your Apple or Google account, then pick a game or app you'd like to try out, and start earning some extra money. Right now, I just downloaded a new game called Palman Survival and enabled app tracking. This is the only way the apps and games know that you're testing their products and will be able to track your progress. So, here you can see how much money I can get for completing each of the tasks under the game. You can withdraw your earnings through PayPal, cryptocurrency, or gift cards, depending on what's available in your region. Personally though, I withdrew my earnings via PayPal because it's quick and convenient and the money goes straight to my account. The minimum amount for your first withdrawal is $25, but if you use the link in my description or scan the QR code on the screen, you will get a $10 bonus, which is nearly half of the amount you need to cash out. So click the link below or scan the QR code on screen, download the app, check out some cool new games, and do all the things you do every day anyway, but this time, not for free. A graduate from Griffith University in Brisbane, Queensland, Catriona met Bluey creator Joe Brum at the Melbourne International Animation Festival in 2015. She was a fresh grad at the time and was at the festival since they were featuring her grad film. After connecting with Joe, Catriona spent the next 2 years taking occasional freelance work with his company, Studio Joho. During these years, Joe would also share his ideas for Bluey with Catriona, and when ABC Kids finally greenlit his show in 2017, Joe immediately offered Catriona the opportunity to be their lead art director, making her the youngest Australian to land such a big role at just 23 years old. Catriona then spent 2017 and 2018 designing the world of Bluey, from the Healer family house to the overall style and color theme of the show's world. To put it simply, everything kids and fans see in Bluey apart from the characters was based on Catriona's designs. However, while the world she helped make for Bluey was colorful, her time working for the show wasn't positive, so she left after finishing season 1 in late 2018. Over 6 years later, on April 17th, 2025, Catriona published her story on what it was like working on Bluey. Her blog post started with how she landed the lead art director role at such a young age, but it came with the harsh reality of how demanding the job was. Aside from juggling her own work while monitoring progress of whole departments, there were also the demanding schedules and unpaid overtime. In Catriona's words, she shared, "Our work-life balance was at times abysmal. It put so much unnecessary stress and pressure onto everyone it almost overshadowed
shadows the good memories we did share. Though on the surface Bluey was being run as a family-friendly production, where parents could leave for school pickups and we'd often take the school holiday breaks, the sentiment that we had to give absolutely everything if we wanted to make something great became the undercurrent of how the show was run. When push came to shove, overtime was a given, and none of us got paid for it. That was also a given. So while some workers were leaving at 4 p.m. to pick up their kids, a lot of the leads were coming in at 8 a.m. and leaving at 9 p.m. on a regular basis.
Catriona also mentioned how the strict schedules pressured younger artists like herself to meet deadlines no matter the cost. Even on special occasions, like when the staff threw Joe a birthday celebration, came with the reminder that they had to make up for the lost time. Catriona's blog also included screenshots of her logged hours during the production, showing that she'd spent over 10 hours of unpaid overtime nearly every week, with 1 week logging over an extra 24 hours. And after months of being overworked to complete Bluey episodes, Catriona collapsed due to exhaustion near the end of the season 1 production. She then had to get an ultrasound and was placed on double wrist braces due to repetitive strain injury, a condition that caused pain and weakness on her wrists. But even after weeks of recommended exercises to recover, Catriona was still in pain. This made her realize her pain might be because of the ongoing stress of working on Bluey, so she decided to end her contract. Catriona's blog post had both Bluey fans and fellow artists showing their support for her and criticizing the studio's work conditions. However, as one fan pointed out, her story was
extremely sad but not surprising. Abusing staff seems to be more typical than not in this industry, regardless of whether the studio is big or small. I can only think of a couple of creators off the top of my head that really make it a point to make sure their animators are treated well and compensated well.
Michael Griffin, who was an editor for Bluey Season 1, also commented on Catriona's blog post to add his own experience, saying,
"The worst single moment for me on the show was when I was at lunch and my girlfriend called to say she had to rush to the emergency room. I called the office to tell them I was going to her and that I wouldn't be at work for the rest of the day. The production manager Sam's immediate response, her first words in reply, 'Okay, but you'll have to make up that time later.' Something in Bluey died for me at that moment."
He also mentioned how the show creator, Joe, would yell at staff without facing consequences for his aggressive behavior. As of mid-2026, Joe or any other member of the Bluey team had not publicly responded to Catriona's or Michael's stories. Both creators had moved on with other projects, while Catriona also shared the positive stories and her work process during her time with Bluey. And though the awful conditions of working at Bluey left fans of the show disappointed, their outcry on social media was nothing compared to the literal tears shed after Bluey's target audience was betrayed on May 11th, 2024.
The Bluey event in America has left kids in tears and parents fuming.
With Bluey soaring in popularity between 2019 and today, many businesses have attempted to use the Australian icon to attract families with young kids. And on April 26, 2024, Dirt Dog, a popular hot dog restaurant in Las Vegas, got the same idea and announced a Bluey Day event for May 11th of that year, hoping to get more families through their doors during that weekend. That event promised a Bluey marathon, a meet and greet with the characters, along with face painting and Bluey-themed games and prizes for kids. So seeing a chance to spend the weekend with their children's favorite characters, around 3,000 people responded to the Facebook event post. And this should have been the restaurant's first warning that things would end up in a disaster. 2 weeks later, on May 11th, Dirt Dog opened its doors and found thousands of kids and parents lining up for their Bluey Day event. The amount of potential customers would have been great for any other business. However, Dirt Dog didn't plan for this large crowd. In fact, they were only expecting a few dozen of their regular customers to join their Bluey event. Because of this, hundreds of families were left waiting outside under the hot sun since the restaurant only had capacity to let a few people in. For the Bluey-themed treats, only 125 cupcakes were baked by a Dirt Dog employee, not an actual bakery. And since there were more than hundreds of kids in line, these cupcakes ran out within the first 30 minutes of the event. The promised face painting was also only done by a staff member, not a professional face painting artist. And worst of all, when it was time for the meet and greet, children came face to face with another kitchen staff member who was wearing a store-bought Bluey onesie, not an actual mascot. Parents were outraged as the promised event left their kids in tears. Some immediately went to the event's Facebook post and warned people,
"Don't waste your time. It was completely chaos. The Bluey isn't even a costume. It's a dude in pajamas. They ran out of snacks by 11:30.
Meanwhile, news outlets heard about the disastrous event and went to the restaurant to get people's reaction.
When I saw him, my desk ignore him. I was mad.
What did he look like? The cartoon? Did he look like what? Like on TV?
No, He looked like unexpected. We could like see his beard.
How could you do that to little kids? It was a very upsetting moment to see so many kids, especially my daughter, just really upset.
Reporters also spoke to the staff to learn why the event turned out the way it did. One employee defended that though they saw that 3,000 people responded to their Facebook post, they expected that most of them weren't really planning on going. And when they found thousands outside the restaurant, staff members did everything they could to make the event worthwhile.
We expected like maybe 50, 60 people, the whole city coming out, and that's what we got, the entire city. Now knowing who Bluey is, we would have planned ahead and would have had security, there would have been more door regulations.
With word about the event spreading, Dirt Dog issued a public apology later that day, saying,
"We're truly sorry this event wasn't to standard. We will work on improving all of events going forward so we can bring you the highest quality as you all deserve."
Despite the public apology, the story went viral on social media, with many internet users criticizing the restaurant for trying to use the Bluey franchise without making much effort for the kids. Others declared that they would never visit Dirt Dog again after this event, while some placed the blame on the parents for expecting a lot out of a free event. Then, on May 23rd, less than 2 weeks after the event failed, Dirt Dog announced another Bluey Day on June 9th. This time, they promised a real event with a professional mascot and face painter, hoping to regain the public's trust. However, they won't get this chance since May 27th, just 4 days after the announcement, Dirt Dog received a cease and desist order from BBC, the company that owned the distribution and licensing rights to Bluey. According to the order,
BBC Studios has learned from press reports that you held a prior Bluey Day event that descended into chaos, with crying children and disappointed parents. To prevent all further harm, BBC Studios demands that you cancel all planned Bluey Day events and that you immediately and permanently cease offering any services or products in connection with or that use in any way the Bluey mark.
So, with no choice, Dirt Dog soon announced the cancellation of the upcoming Bluey Day, saying that they were
completely disappointed with the news. We only had the purest intentions to give back to those around us. We sincerely hope the Vegas community will forgive us and continue to support us as we're still pushing forward in our community involvement.
The company behind Bluey were quick to prevent another potential disaster from being connected to the beloved kids franchise. Unfortunately, an internet rumor about something inappropriate happening in a Bluey episode went viral faster than the team could contain it, and it left parents horrified.
Strikeforce Bandit was established by the Robbery Serious Crime Squad to investigate the theft of what we now know to be 64,000 individual $1 commemorative Bluey coins.
By 2024, Bluey had become such a beloved national icon that the Australian government announced the release of limited edition Bluey coins. Each coin would be both a collector's item and a legal currency worth $1 Australian or roughly 69 cents in the US. The first batch of Bluey coins was released to the public on June 5th, 2024, and within hours, thousands of the commemorative items were sold out. The Royal Australian Mint, which was responsible for producing and circulating coins in the country, also held an online lottery for these coins and found thousands of families joining in to get their hands on the official Bluey item. And not long after their release, hundreds of online listings for these Bluey coins started appearing, with prices reaching over 50 times their original value. Given the high demand for the Bluey-themed coins, the Royal Australian Mint announced that a second batch would be released months later on September 2nd of that year. In preparation for this, employees at a Brisbane depot were expecting delivery of several pallets containing the new Bluey coins on July 3rd, less than 2 months before the September release. However, once they checked their records, they noticed that they were missing one of the pallets. Unable to track where it went, the employees immediately reported it as missing to the authorities. The pallet would have contained 500 kilograms, or about half a ton of coins that amounted to 63,000 Australian dollars, or over 43,600 US dollars. Given the large scale of this theft, the New South Wales State Crime Command took control of the investigation 9 days later on July 12th and launched the Special Task Force Bandit, named after Bluey's father. Since the theft went unnoticed until the shipment reached Brisbane, the task force tracked down the coin's movements after it left the Royal Australian Mint site in Canberra, which was about 745 miles away, 1,200 kilometers from the depot. Halfway through the transport, the coins were kept at a Wetherill Park warehouse in Western Sydney between June 22nd and 24th before they continued their journey to Brisbane. That was over a week before the theft was discovered. Task Force Bandit also found online sellers advertising the unreleased Bluey coins while increasing the prices to up to 10 times their actual value. The earliest posts selling these coins were from June 23rd, giving police a better estimate on when they were stolen. And with buyers accepting the bloated prices, the thieves could earn up to $436,000 if they sold all the stolen coins. With this, Task Force Bandit tracked down both the sellers and buyers of these coins, leading them to a property in Sefton in Western Sydney, just roughly 8 miles, 2.8 kilometers from the Wetherill Park warehouse where the coins were previously stored. And on July 31st, police raided the property and recovered just 189 of the missing coins. However, after investigating the person who had the coins, whom we'll call Jake, they learned that he was only a collector who bought the coins online for $1.50 Australian dollars each. Ultimately, they couldn't tie Jake to the theft apart from buying the coins from the thieves, but this was enough to track them down. Using Jake's transactions, police traced his purchase back to 47-year-old Stephen John Nielsen. Stephen was an employee at the Wetherill Park warehouse where the pallets were stored in June, giving him access to them, and so, on August 7th, police raided Stephen's house and arrested him for the theft. Less than 2 weeks later, his accomplice and co-worker at the warehouse, 44-year-old Nassar Kanch, was arrested in his home on August 20th. Based on CCTV footage recovered from the Wetherill Park warehouse, police believed that Stephen and Nassar moved the truck that was transporting the coins to an unsecure location to discreetly take one of the pallets. However, despite the two men getting arrested, police hadn't recovered more of the stolen coins. September soon arrived and the new Bluey coins were released, though with 63,000 of them still missing while the ones recovered from Jake were in police custody. Given this, thousands of kids were likely unable to get their hands on these beloved coins. Meanwhile, Stephen and Nassar remained in police custody while investigations were still ongoing. Hoping to get the public's help, police released CCTV footage of the night of the theft on October 10th, 2024, over a month after suspects' arrests. The footage showed a white car speeding away from the Wetherill Park warehouse late at night on June 23rd. The car was then later seen parked in front of a 24-hour ATM vestibule where an unidentified man exited, leaving the unseen driver in the vehicle. The man then went into the vestibule carrying a bag. The police suspected that the man and the driver of the car assisted in transporting the missing coins from the warehouse, and with the man's face clearly visible from the footage, police hoped that the public could identify him. Nearly 3 weeks later, police instead located 27-year-old Christina Vale, whom they believed was the getaway driver during the crime. Hours after her arrest, police also raided a self-storage unit in Wentworthville, just less than 6 miles, 10 kilometers, from the Wetherill Park warehouse. From the unit, more than 40,000 Bluey coins were finally recovered. Over a year later, on October 8, 2025, Stephen pleaded guilty to the theft and was sentenced to 33 months. Nassar also pleaded guilty and confessed to the court that he committed the crime to buy illegal drugs. He was sentenced to 27 months in prison, while Christina's sentencing hadn't been made public yet. As of mid-2026, police hadn't announced if they'd found the man from the CCTV footage or if they'd recovered the rest of the Bluey coins. Instead, Detective Superintendent Joseph Dewey asked the public,
"If you are one of those lucky people to have come across one of those coins now, we don't ask that you surrender that coin. It's in circulation now."
While these thieves attempted to profit off cartoon-themed commemorative coins, the next story is about people deliberately creating harmful content for Bluey's innocent fans.
Oh no, don't hop into there. I have a bad feeling there's something bad. Oh! Whoa, what the hell?
Fan content goes hand in hand with practically any popular media, especially with the rise of social media and online video sharing platforms like YouTube. Fans and content creators could easily make art, fan fiction, or videos based on any pop culture icon and released it to thousands, if not millions of audiences. But when that icon happens to be a preschool show like Bluey, some content might be better off hidden from actual fans. On February 17th, 2025, Facebook user Daniel Boone posted this on the Adult Bluey fans group.
There is a YouTube channel called Puppy Buddies 2 that uses the likeness of Bluey and Bingo in very misleading ways that seem to almost purposefully be targeting children with intent to influence dangerous behaviors. Videos with talks of death, being killed thousands of times, jumping off ledges, going down into sewer drains to help someone out of a cage, etc, etc. It all looks like harmless video game streaming until you stop and watch it. We noticed our young person talking talking a lot about death lately and thought it was just a weird young person thing until it didn't stop. We started brainstorming where he could have picked this up, and then my wife mentioned the weird Bluey video game channel. I investigated the channel for maybe 5 minutes and it was glaringly obvious that was the issue.
Puppy Buddies 2 was a YouTube channel full of thumbnails based on the popular Australian cartoon. However, the content was not appropriate for Bluey's target audience at all. Some of the videos were titled
Roblox Kidnap Story, Eating My Friend in Roblox,
and
Becoming a Max Level Criminal in Roblox,
clearly using the popular Bluey and Roblox names while depicting disturbing content. With YouTube's algorithm mistaking that these videos were for a younger audience, children like Daniel's son easily stumbled upon these titles. And unfortunately, Puppy Buddies 2 wasn't the only channel creating such content for YouTube. Several channels uploaded videos that placed these characters in suggestive situations, like the inflation-style art where characters' stomachs were bloated like balloons. Another popular theme was the Bluey werewolf stories that depicted the character as a violent monster attacking her family. And despite YouTube's efforts to keep these channels from appearing to their younger viewers, these types of content had been going on for a decade. And around the mid-2010s, numerous YouTube channels began popping up, creating seemingly random content while featuring popular characters from kids shows such as Peppa Pig, Spider-Man, and most famously, Elsa from Frozen. These videos ranged from actors dressed in costumes while singing nursery rhymes to downright nightmare fuel animations. The most infamous of these videos were the Elsa and Spider-Man videos that looked like they belonged to adult streaming pages rather than YouTube Kids. And because of these videos, the internet coined the term
Elsagate
to describe the phenomenon of YouTube channels pretending to be kid-friendly while uploading disturbing content. But why do these channels trick kids into watching their videos? Author James Bridle posted an article exploring this topic in November 2017, where he called these channels
industrialized nightmare production,
otherwise known today as content farming. Basically, these channels aimed to mass-produce content with as little effort as possible to earn from YouTube ads. According to James,
online kids content is one of the few alternative ways of making money from 3D animation because the aesthetic standards are lower and independent production can profit through scale. It uses existing and easily available content, such as character models and motion capture libraries, and it can be repeated and revised endlessly and mostly meaninglessly because the algorithms don't discriminate, and neither do the kids.
To put it simply, kids who just discovered YouTube could easily be tricked into watching videos that had familiar faces like Elsa and Bluey. At the same time, these younger audiences didn't click away when they saw that the videos were poorly made, so content farming channels could churn more low-effort videos repeatedly and still gain thousands, sometimes millions of views. But there's still the question of why these channels chose inappropriate topics rather than sticking with more conventional content. Online magazine US Cybersecurity suggested that
segmented markets research has yielded that kids respond to videos that are mysterious, scary, or taboo. The type of videos that parents disapprove of are the exact type of videos that children desire to see.
Apart from that, the magazine shared that some people believe that
the videos were insidious attempts at grooming.
However, no direct investigations into these channels had been made, so there was no confirmation if either theory was true. Still, these channels were concerning for parents with younger children, and rightfully so. And so, after James's article highlighted these issues in 2017, YouTube changed their guidelines to have stricter rules on content targeted towards kids and deleted as many of these inappropriate channels as they could. But, of course, it didn't stop there, as the people behind these channels could easily create new ones and upload the same content until YouTube noticed them again. So, the cycle continued. Years later, in the early to mid-2020s, Bluey became a household name and the pandemic kept children inside their homes. This was prime opportunity for content farming channels who began using the Healer family's image for the same low-effort, repetitive videos. But Bluey wasn't the only target for these content farms. Every icon that was popular with kids today, like Poppy Playtime and Minecraft, were also subjected to these types of videos. Since Daniel's post about Puppy Buddies 2, the channel has been deleted. However, there were still dozens of similar YouTube channels online, and despite numerous concerned fans and parents reporting them, they would just repeatedly create new channels like they'd been doing before. So far, Joe Brum and the team behind Bluey hadn't made public statements about the channels using their character for questionable content. Meanwhile, another section of the Bluey fandom wanted more than ad revenue money out of the community. They wanted something to satisfy their private fantasies.
It was supposed to be about the Bluey subreddit and how
there's a Bluey subreddit? Why does Reddit on desktop lol like absolute dog water?
They really kind of hate furries over there, but a lot of it's...
Wait, really?
Furries are a community of people who are interested in anthropomorphic animals or animals made to look like humans. This community actually started in the 1970s with people gathering to conventions while wearing animal suits to watch anime and sci-fi titles. The fandom has exploded in popularity recently with the help of the internet and popular shows with human-like animal characters like Zootopia, My Little Pony, and, of course, Bluey. This began around September 13th, 2019, barely a year after Bluey started airing in Australia, while ex-user Pupper posted a furry-like fan art of the show's main character. Though Bluey characters already acted like people, the furry style showed them having more human features and proportions. And just 2 days after Pupper's post, Ray Star Kitty from DeviantArt posted a similar art on September 15th. After that, Bluey furry style art and even costumes became more widespread throughout the internet, and while many appreciated the creativity of these fan creations, others were growing concerned. Over at Reddit, furry art creator famous_sky2447 shared their art on the Bluey subreddit throughout 2022, only to get harassed by people against the furry community. One Redditor commented on their art saying,
"The healers did not need or deserve to be furrified."
And when someone else pointed out that the Bluey characters were anthropomorphic to begin with, they insisted,
"They're literally TV characters for smaller people. They don't need to be re-illustrated into some weird kink-adjacent thing."
This comment was common for many people outside the furry community. Since a portion of the furry community created art that wasn't safe for work, some believed that all furries were only into it for intimate interests in these characters. The idea that furries had these desires for Bluey characters became more alarming when some parents started calling Bandit someone they wanted to have private times with. So when furry art began appearing in spaces for the Bluey fandom, people got uncomfortable, especially when Bluey's target audience might see these types of creations. Given these, adult fans of Bluey began harassing the furry side of the fandom, with Reddit user ColorCodeTheArtist sharing on famous_sky's post that,
"I posted a drawing of my interpretation of a 20 years old Bluey here once, and someone commented, 'Mother, I crave violence against ColorCodeTheArtist.' At the time, I had no idea where that came from. I thought that it might have been because they thought that drawing her as an adult automatically meant that I was drawing her indecently, which is still a stupid reason to wish violence upon me considering that she was fully clothed. But after seeing this, I think it might have been that, and because I drew her at all."
And with furry art creators getting harassed and even threats of violence on the Bluey subreddit, moderators ultimately banned similar creations being posted there starting on January 15th, 2023. But of course, this wasn't the end of the Bluey fandom keeping furries away from the show, and one creator's work showed both the furry community and Bluey itself in a horrible light. YouTube channel Flash Gits is known for satirical and dark humor animations featuring pop culture icons like Sonic the Hedgehog and Pokemon. One of their most known series of animation is the Furry Crusades, which showed Warhammer 40k Marines fighting furries in violent and exaggerated scenes. Though there had been no official statement as to why Flash Gits created this series, fans believed that the channel
hates furries. They love Warhammer 40k and wanted to see Space Marines brutalize and exterminatus them.
In case you didn't know, the term exterminatus in Warhammer 40k is an order from the highest authority to eradicate all life within a planet, which was similar to what the Marines did in Flash Gits' videos. The Furry Crusade series started on April 6th, 2019 and featured other anthropomorphic characters like Sonic being hunted by the Marines. And more than 5 years later, with the ongoing debate between the non-furry and furry side of the fandom, Flash Gits released a Bluey video on June 15th, 2024, titled House of a Thousand Furries.
Brother Azron! Bluey!
The video showed a Marine named Brother Azron showing up in front of the Healer family home. The unaware family was having dinner when Bluey complained about eating vegetables, so Bandit made up a story that her broccoli was magical that could make anyone do what she said.
What if I told you they're magic vegetables that can make people do whatever you like?
No, they can't.
Freeze! Eat your vegetables!
This was when Azron burst in and began shooting at the dogs, mistaking them for furries. To protect her family, Bluey used broccoli to make him stop. What she didn't know was actual furry creatures were watching her use a vegetable effectively on their enemy. To the family's surprise, furries began appearing at their home and attacking Azron, claiming that it was to protect the healers. What followed next was a brutal fight like the other Furry Crusades videos. But just as Azron got overwhelmed, one of the furries grabbed a piece of broccoli, hoping to use it to make the characters
do anything they wanted.
Bandit stepped in to protect his family, leading him to steal the piece of broccoli and use its magic to eliminate the furry intruders. Once the fight was over, Azron confirmed that the family wasn't a group of furries, and yet he chose to eliminate them for being
unsanctioned dog mutants.
As it was, the video was recognizable as a parody on Bluey and Warhammer 40k while poking fun at the furry community. However, some people weren't happy with how the characters were portrayed in the video. Amongst them was Ludo Studio themselves. On June 24th, just over a week after the video was uploaded, FlashGits posted on their X account that Ludo Studio had filed a trademark complaint against their House of 1,000 Furries video. So with no choice, the video was immediately deleted on YouTube. But it was too late. Several other YouTube channels had already uploaded their reaction videos on the House of 1,000 Furries, while other internet users had archived the video and re-uploaded it to YouTube. FlashGits themselves hadn't given up on their creation since the day after, on June 25th, they uploaded the Bluey parody video on their Patreon, where it was exclusive to their members. Then on August 11th, more than a month after the original video was taken down, FlashGits uploaded a new version to YouTube titled House of 1,000 Furries Safe for Australia version, where the healer family had been replaced by red cats. The title card was also replaced with
Ready
instead of Bluey. So far, Ludo Studio hadn't publicly reacted to the furry community being interested in Bluey apart from the FlashGits takedown. And while the mature side of this fandom was something none of the younger fans should be exposed to, the next side of the Bluey community used the healer's siblings themselves in a twisted story that these fans could interact with. On October 15th, 2023, YouTuber Alex_Hana_618 uploaded a video of himself playing a VHS tape that was labeled
Bluey.exe, Pop Goes the Weasel.
As he watched the tape, he saw that the Bluey intro played as normal until the last moment when the main character was replaced by a copy of herself who had red eyes. The title card above her also had blood dripping from it. The tape continued to a supposed lost episode where this evil version of Bluey, known as Bluey.exe, was walking around the bodies of her parents and her younger sister. All the while, she was singing the nursery rhyme, Pop Goes the Weasel. As the video's title suggested, the lost Bluey episode was not for kids despite coming from the popular show. So in the description, Alex explained that
sometime in late 2020 and early 2021, it was reported that the creators of the famous kids cartoon Bluey, Joe Brum and Richard Jeffrey, received a tape of a Bluey episode that was very disturbing and creepy. For 2 years, the video seemed lost forever. No one knew what truly happened. Until a few months ago, when some people on Reddit supposedly found the first 2 minutes of it, I was able to download it and burn it to a VHS tape.
By this point, the idea of lost Bluey episodes was already starting to spread. Just 5 months earlier in April, a Bluey story titled Stranger Danger was anonymously posted on the Lost Episodes creepypasta website, retelling a lost episode where the healer siblings were kidnapped. Then there was The Puller, which showed Bingo getting captured by a monster under her bed. But given that these stories were from a creepypasta website, they were simply that, creepy stories made by people on the internet to spread like they were urban legends. Ludo Studio had not revealed any lost episode of Bluey, especially not the ones that were nightmare-fueled. Still, something stood out from Alex's Pop Goes the Weasel video, and that was the name, Bluey.exe. Back on August 9th, 2011, almost 12 years before Alex's video, a user on the creepypasta wiki named JC-the-hyena posted a story about a man named Tom receiving a hacked CD of the video game Sonic the Hedgehog. The video game featured a possessed version of the main character known as Sonic Sonic.exe, who forced Tom to torture the other characters. At the end of the game, the demonic entity possessing the game revealed itself as a god and appeared on Tom's bed as a bloody Sonic plushie, reaching him in the real world. Since Sonic.exe grew in popularity in 2011, more stories about evil versions of cartoon and video game characters like Peppa Pig, Mario, and even Goofy became widespread throughout the internet. Their .exe characters were known to have bleeding eyes and a wide, haunting grin as they committed horrific crimes in their usually colourful world. The formula fitted the Bluey.exe character featured in the Pop Goes the Weasel video, and despite Alex's description claiming that the episode was something that landed on the desks of the show's creators, it turned out to be inspired by YouTuber Jack Play's deleted video from February 1st, 2023, just 6 months before Alex's. The description on Jake's video also made it clear that he made the story up based on a comment on his YouTube channel. Still, the Bluey.exe character spread all over social media, mixing it with the safe Bluey content that younger viewers could stumble upon. And these stories were not only contained to creepy animations, some leaked into our real-life videos. Throughout December 2023, just 2 months after Alex's video, YouTube and TikTok creators began a Bluey at 3 AM challenge where they either ordered something Bluey-related online or watched a Bluey video at 3 in the morning. The videos showed these creators getting horrified to find cursed Bluey dolls at their doorsteps, which they would also cut open at the infamous time, 3 AM.
Okay, you guys, I did some more digging. Oh! You guys, what is that? That's like a freaking pill.
YouTuber Jay Hills took things to another level by inviting a real bingo to his apartment at 3 AM to get a Bluey potion from her. He then convinced his friend Gibby to drink the potion, and this turned him into a real-life Bluey. Meanwhile, some made videos about rescuing Bluey from Bluey.exe.
Oh my gosh.
However, videos showing the supposed Bluey in real life often got so violent that they could traumatize the cartoon's younger audience.
Yo, wait, they're actually going at it. Yo, what the heck? Oh my gosh, yo, I can't tell who's winning. Yo, my brother's trying though.
Like Dorito's reaction filming the Healer siblings getting into a car accident.
It's going across the road.